What if the man who made the world fall in love with wildlife was hiding a pain we never saw? What if the crocodile hunter's final days held secrets that no camera ever captured? Today, we uncover the untold story of Steve Irwin, a man whose life was as wild as the creatures he loved, and whose death left the world asking questions. But what really happened that day on the reef, and what hidden battles was Steve fighting behind his iconic smile? Stay with us. Steve Irwin was born on February 22, 1962, in Melbourne, Australia. His father, Bob Irwin, was a wildlife expert, and his mother, Lynn, a wildlife rehabilitator. At just 6 years old, Steve was already handling crocodiles under his father's supervision, developing a fearless connection with wildlife that would define his life. In 1991, Steve took over the Queensland Reptile and Fauna Park, later known as Australia Zoo, with his wife, Terry. Their mission was simple: wildlife conservation and education, and they captured hearts worldwide with their fearless, hands-on approach to dangerous animals. But as Steve's fame grew, so did the dangers around him. Was Steve aware of the risks, or was he pushing boundaries too far to keep the world entertained? Was Steve living on borrowed time, or was he simply too passionate to stop? The Crocodile Hunter premiered in 1996 and became a global phenomenon. Steve's larger-than-life personality, his iconic crikey, and his deep respect for animals captivated millions. But behind the laughter and excitement, Steve faced criticism from animal rights groups accusing him of stressing animals for the sake of entertainment. Yet for Steve, every dangerous stunt was a message to protect wildlife, to teach people that these creatures were not monsters, but misunderstood beings. But was the pressure of fame and constant risk-taking affecting Steve's mental and physical health? How did the weight of global fame affect Steve Irwin behind the camera? Steve's life was a whirlwind of travel, filming, and constant danger. But at home, he was a loving father and husband, deeply connected to his family. His daughter, Bindi, and son Robert were introduced to wildlife at an early age, and Steve hoped they would continue his mission. But behind his boundless energy, Steve reportedly struggled with the pressures of his expanding empire. Managing the zoo, filming schedules, and global tours took a toll on him. Close friends noted that Steve often felt overwhelmed, but never let it show to his fans. Was Steve hiding his exhaustion behind the excitement? Did he feel the weight of responsibility for wildlife conservation more than he let the world see? Was Steve Irwin silently fighting a battle of burnout while smiling for the world? On September 4, 2006, Steve was filming a documentary called Ocean's Deadliest on the Great Barrier Reef. While swimming in shallow water, he approached a stingray to get footage for his daughter's show. In a tragic moment, the stingray struck Steve in the chest with its barb, piercing his heart. His crew tried desperately to save him, but Steve passed away before reaching the shore. The world was shocked. A man who had survived countless dangers was taken by an animal he sought to protect. But some questions remain. Why was Steve so close to the stingray? Was it a freak accident, or was Steve pushing the limits that day to capture one last perfect shot? Was Steve Irwin's death truly an accident, or was it the final chapter of a life lived on the edge? After Steve's death, Terry, Bindi, and Robert carried forward his mission, expanding Australia Zoo and advocating for wildlife conservation worldwide. Bindi has spoken often about her father's passion, and Robert continues Steve's legacy through wildlife photography and education. Yet, even today, fans and family wonder what more Steve could have accomplished if he were alive. Would he have slowed down? Would he have taken a step back to protect himself? Or was Steve's destiny to live and die among the creatures he loved so fiercely? Steve Irwin's life reminds us that passion can light up the world, but it also carries risks when lived without limits. What do you think? Did Steve Irwin live too close to the edge, or was he fulfilling his purpose exactly as he wanted? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more untold stories of legendary lives. If you want us to uncover the hidden stories of other legends like Steve Irwin, comment below. Watch our previous video on Phil Robertson's secret life to see how another iconic figure lived beyond what the cameras showed. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.